Greetings. So I'm on my way, got some shopping to do, got some other things to do today, so I figured I would do the video in the car. Y'all won't mind much, I hope. This ought to be interesting. So I'm going to tell you a story, and I've got a point that I'm going to come back to after the fact. Back in 1988, I was having one of the worst days I've ever had at a job site. I was regional director of a medical billing company, and I was at the main office in the Syracuse area. I had 5 different offices that I was over, but I was at the main one. And we just had a day where none of us were getting along. Emotions were flared up. I don't yell at people, but I was shaking, trying to keep myself calm. And later on, one lady even said she thought that I was going to hit her, which I can understand why, because of the way I was shaking. I apologized to her the next day, by the way. But it was just a rough day. And I go back to my apartment after work, and I said, you know what? I need a little bit of an uplift. So what did I do? I decided to go to my first and last political rally. It was a political rally for Jesse Jackson, who was running for president at the time, and Jesse was in town. And I had thought, definitely I'm not going to this, but I was always a Jesse Jackson fan. The man, the way he spoke, the message he communicated, it just resonated with me. And I'm not religious. Not close to it. But back then, actually, it's not that I'm much different now, but, he advocated rights for black people and, black people being stronger and more committed to different things. And I said, yeah, you know what? That's me. So I decided to go. So I get downtown Syracuse. It was at the War Memorial. And I ran into a couple of people I knew. And so we kind of sat together, which was kind of nice. Now I wasn't totally by myself. And I got to tell you, it was packed. It was the most packed I'd ever been in the War Memorial since I saw the 1979 Jackson's concert, which was really packed. And I got to tell you, it was raucous. People were just uplifted and they were happy, and Jesse came out and Jesse did his thing and he said all the right stuff, and we were just so engaged. And I felt this spirit in me, not a religious thing, but I felt this thing in me that my mind said I would do anything this man said to do right now. I would do anything. If he said, let's go out and kill all white people, I'd have gone out and killed white people. That's how powerful his message was. I mean, I'm serious. He was just the man. And of course he didn't win, but he did well. And he did well in 92 also. And so here I was, always a Jesse Jackson fan, always. But we didn't have internet back then. And we had newspapers, we had television news, but we didn't have internet. So you couldn't really get a full bead on what someone was like. And from probably 1991 on, you started hearing things about Jesse that were somewhat troubling to a person like me. For instance, it seemed that he believed in equality for black people, but not for women, whether they were white, black, or whatever. He didn't see women the same way. He talked in one way as though he did, but in another way he didn't. And I had a problem with that. And I had a problem with a few other things that he was saying at the time and over time. And I started thinking, wow, this is not the guy who I thought he was. And then when Clinton had his issues with Monica Lewinsky, and Jesse Jackson went in to offer him counseling. And, of course it made the news and it was a big deal. And it's like, okay, you know what? Jesse's going to help Clinton get through this. And then I think it was a year and a half later, we find out that Jesse Jackson had this baby with a woman he wasn't married to and had been paying her money out of the Operation Push funds. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? And of course, this is one of the things that he had been talking about over the previous years, how black men or men in general should be married to the women before they have babies. And bam, there you go. And I just lost all my respect for him because in general, I don't care what people do in their personal lives, but this was not a personal life thing. This was Jesse Jackson. It was a big deal. This was as big a deal at that time as it was when we found out what Bill Cosby was doing in drugging women. I mean, this was really a massive thing. And it was disappointing, and I was slightly depressed for a while. And I came to the realization that the thing that bothered me most about it was that he had lied. It was just an out and out lie. He had misrepresented who he was. And I know some people will say, well, politicians do that. No, all politicians do not go to that route. They don't go that far with it. We should never allow ourselves to be fooled and cajoled and lied to by anyone like that. On my business YouTube channel, I did a video earlier this week where I said, beware leaders who lie to you. And I'm going to put a link down below talking about that. And I'm bringing that up because here we are, we're getting close to the election. As a matter of fact, you might as well say the election's already started because some people have already voted mail-in ballots. I'm waiting for mine to come so I can do the mail-in. And I just have trouble believing that there are still so many people who are supporting the orange guy. I never say his name, even though they all know he lied to them. And a lot of them are saying, well, he's been up front with us and he's been truthful with us and he's trying to protect us. And I'm thinking, no, he hasn't. He lied to everybody. He knew the coronavirus was dangerous way back when. He's recorded. He's on tape. He told, oh God, he told Bob Woodward, the deep throat guy who got Nixon. He told him, and he owned up to it, that he told it. But then he said, oh, but I would do nothing to mislead anybody. Then he gets the virus after telling everybody for all these months that it wasn't a big deal and go out there and do what you're going to do. And then he gets it because he has something on his own grounds where he has no one wearing masks. And then a lot of his staff and a lot of other people who went there got the virus. And of course, he goes to the hospital, Walter Reed, and he gets top-notch treatment that nobody else is going to get. You're just not going to get it unless you're a millionaire or a billionaire. And then he comes out and says, okay, don't worry about the virus. Well, how do you say that when something around 215,000 people have died? How can you believe the lie? It's all lies. And he said, well, look, what I've done for the economy. Let me ask y'all a question, most of you. How much better did you do in the last 4 years than you had done in 2016 when Obama was still president? You know what the percentage is? 90% of people did not do all that well. Yes, some of them were able to get jobs if they were low-paying jobs. If it wasn't for states like New York, which put in minimum low standard, minimum wage, higher, like $15 an hour for certain industries. If it wasn't for states like New York doing that, most people would still be in a lot of financial trouble. Yes, we all got our stimulus check. Thank you for that. But, he didn't want to sign it. And what has he done lately? He basically said, you know what? No, I'm not signing anything until after the election, because he's trying to say, if you don't elect me, you don't get nothing. Because it's always been all about him. He doesn't care about any of you. Think about all these states who he said, okay, we're going to increase manufacturing. I'm going to make sure you all have jobs. It didn't happen for most of them. He talked about coal. We're going to get coal and we're going to do this and whatever. It didn't happen. Yes, he did get a pipeline illegally that's going through Native American lands and is going to ruin the ecology and everything else like that. Thank you very much for ruining our life. I have this thing where I say, if people are lied to, or they can't believe what they've seen, or they can't believe what they've heard, or they're going to ignore that for what they consider the greater good, you deserve to be lied to. You might as well just go join Voldemort, because that's what the greater good was. Okay, I know it was Grindelwald, but go with me here. Folks, you can't let people just out and out lie to you. I don't out and out lie to anybody. If I don't want you to know something, either one, I don't tell you, or I'm just going to kind of say, well, I'm not sure yet, and I'm done with it. If you see the other video, I tell a different story about when I was a director and how I handled times where I couldn't tell the full truth, but I didn't lie to anybody. And, I imagine that someone who may see this later on is going to say, well, you're just a hater and all this other kind of stuff. I didn't necessarily hate. Oh my goodness. This is the thing, you get to a certain age, you can't remember any. Mitt Romney. I didn't hate Mitt Romney. I just liked Obama better. I did not hate John McCain, but I liked Obama better. Bush was a different story. I'm not gonna lie. But in 1992, I didn't like Clinton. I ended up voting for him, but I was close to voting for Ross Perot. So it's not about, all this other kind of stuff. It's when people are directly lying to you. And if you decide to try to take on a moral standard that you can't live up to, that you've never lived up to, that's problematic. And, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's my thought. I'm where I need to be. I'm done with the video. Let me know your thoughts. Y'all take care.